everyone, and welcome back to our Golden 20s podcast. My name is Sadie, and I'm joined by my co-host Tegan and her cat Maud. We've said it before, but we'll say it again. Maud often joins us, and today she was like, "Oh, time to go." I can hear her purring. I don't know if that'll pick up in the episode, but anyways, we are here for another episode, and today we are going to be talking all about our travel must-haves or our travel essentials. And I feel like these things are applicable regardless if you're going on a European end to your summer, going overseas, traveling far, or if you're just taking like a local road trip for a weekend. I feel like we're going to have you covered regardless of what type of travel you have coming up. But before we do that, we're going to do a connection card.
Yes, and we are actually in the next category, which, hold on, let me pull up the official description, is pink, and it's the category no holding back.
Okay. In case you guys are curious, we use the Happy Tears deck. I don't think we mentioned that in a while, but yeah, and there's a few different categories. But is this the deepest category then, Tag, or is this the middle?
No, it's the second to last one. So there's still like blue or purple. I'm not sure what they call it, but that's the deepest. So this is almost the deepest, but not quite. So
let's hear it.
Okay, this week's card is I feel most myself when blank.
I feel most myself when I have a good balance of alone time and time with my friends and family. I feel like I go through phases of isolating myself, and then by the time, especially more so like through the pandemic, work from home era of my life, the week would end and I would be like, I do not feel like myself. What's wrong with me? And it was because I hadn't seen anybody all week. And then on the opposite side of things, I would then overcompensate and load up my social calendar, see people every single day. And I would be like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? I don't feel like myself. I'm just so tired and like feel like I've been on and not just like genuinely myself. So I feel like that's my answer, is finding that perfect balance is when I feel most like myself.
That's a good answer. I feel, for me, this is hard. I feel most like myself. I think maybe if I'm in like a group of loud people that I know and I'm comfortable with, and I'm able to like be social and chit chat, but not have to be like talking to new people, and I can just be like relaxed. I probably have like a drink in my hand. We just ate dinner or something, and it's like just chill, chatty, social. I feel like that's like my ideal, but doesn't happen very often. So
I love that. I've talked about this with one of my best friends before, about how we can spend time together and it's not exhausting. Where I have some friends, I think it's kind of what you're saying, where you have some friends where you kind of feel like you have to be on when you're chatting with them, and then you leave that interaction more exhausted. And it's like, sure, maybe you're being yourself, but I don't know, it's maybe a different version of yourself, where when you're hanging out with people who, like you said, you're comfortable with, who know you super well, you don't need to put on any type of like show. That's real friends, and that's when you can be you're truly yourself. So that resonates with me as well.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect.
Awesome.
Great.
Well, there you go. There is our connection card for today. Like we were mentioning, though, the bulk of this episode, we're going to be talking all about our travel essentials. And I'm really going to paint a scene here. I'm envisioning somebody like packing right now, going through their closet, like has this on in the background. They're going through their closet. They're like packing up their personal care items in the bathroom. And they are like in vacation mode. They're a little bit stressed, but also extremely excited. And this is the perfect episode to listen to if you so happen to find yourself in that situation, or that'll be you sometime soon as the summer comes to a close. Maybe you're trying to sneak in a few last minute trips, like I said, near or far. So yeah. Tag, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I was going to say that picture that you're painting is my life right now.
Yeah.
I fly in 2 days, and I've been packing, and it's very like flip-flopping between excited and stressed every day. I think like, oh, I need to pack this, until today when I was like, I overpacked, so I need to take everything out and repack. So I'm at that phase where it's like, this is the thing, I always pack really early, but then the risk is if you pack too early, I find it's easier to forget things, and then you like really start overthinking it, where I was like holding up a dress today, like, should I pack this? And Tyrell was like, why? Like, you packed all your outfits, why are we throwing in extra things? But that's the phase I'm in, so interesting. It's top of mind.
Yeah, I completely forgot that you're packing for a trip. That's so exciting. Yeah. I find that so interesting because I always pack like the day/night before my trip. And I find that so interesting because I'm very much a planner. We know I'm like a type A personality to the T. I need a plan. I need a strategy. I need like the small goals that equal up to the latter, like the bigger goal. Yeah. But when it comes to packing, I wouldn't even say I'm last minute, but kind of, I guess, like the day/night before. But I think it's for that exact reason where I can put things away and then there's no chance that I'm going to need it before I go. There's no chance I'm going to pull it out and have to put it back in or anything like that. Like, it's just done. No overthinking it. When it's done. And there's no time to make any changes, which seems to work for me. But I never thought about it before.
Yeah. I need to find like the sweet spot because I am just like always overwhelmed with packing. So then it's like I need to pack early enough so that if I figure out like, oh, I wanted to wear those jean shorts, they're in my like dirty clothes hamper, I have time to be like wash, dry, figure out the outfits and all that sort of stuff. So I always like to have a couple days built in so that if there's something I'm missing, I'll be like, okay, I have time to do laundry. So there's certain stuff like my carry-on and stuff I don't pack until the night before, but my luggage, I'm like, I need to figure out my outfits and pack it away, because if not, I will forget and wear the outfit and then be like, shoot, I'm supposed to be packing this in my flight in 5 hours and it's like stinky and dirty in my laundry hamper right now. So it's definitely from that point of view. And for like what I'm packing for, I'm going for a wedding, so I packed even earlier so that I could pack like my outfit, knowing like I'm not gonna wear my wedding high heels or like use my sparkly wedding clutch. But then I'm like, if I would leave it too long, I know I'm gonna be like halfway across Canada and think, shoot, I forgot my wedding shoes. So there was also an element of that. But Tyrell's the same, where he normally packs like a couple days out because he's like, it's not that big of a deal, but I just have too many things on my to pack list, so it takes me like 3 days of remembering all the little things.
Yeah, I feel like my method is, I don't know if we have an episode actually about this, but while you're talking, like, we should write down our like pre-trip to-do list prep. Or like pre-trip prep and how we do that, because I actually think that's why I managed to pack so last minute. Is the prep leading up to that packing is very intense and reflects my type A personality, like I was talking about. So like my laundry is done. Like I'm finishing my laundry the morning before I'm packing, kind of thing, to your point. Yeah. But also like the few days leading up to it, I have a list on my phone, like broken out by category and like subcategory of what I need to pack. So when I do go to pack, I have like a few days worth of thoughts about it, so it's not just, again, last minute throwing things together, but I'm not actually like physically packing it until the day before. But anyways, interesting.
All this to say, very top of mind. So I am prepared to share all of my tips. Sadie and I also, I feel like, travel pretty frequently, from like big trips to like small trips to road trips. So not compared to like, I don't know, influencers or something, but
I feel like this year I have no trips planned, and I'm like kind of sad about it, but at the same time I'm like, this makes sense for my budget, makes sense like for my life phase that I'm in. Not every year do I need a huge trip, and I'm reminding myself that. So thanks, Tag, for saying we travel frequently, because I need to hear that, because I'm over here being like, when am I going to travel again?
I think we do.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, I am going to dive in. The first thing I wanted to talk about is the type of travel bags. And this is
Perfect.
outside of luggage. I feel like luggage is luggage is luggage. Like you can buy fancier luggage, you can buy cheaper luggage. It doesn't really matter. I am anti designer luggage because I feel like it would get stolen more frequently. Where it's like if you
Or
have
beat
shitty
up.
luggage. Yeah, that too. If you have shitty luggage, like people are less likely to steal it. But anyways, that's an aside. So for traveling, I have two types of bags, one that I use for road trips and one that I use as my personal item on flights. So first for road trips, I think everyone needs a reliable weekender bag. And my weekender bag, I was actually gifted as a high school graduation gift. And it is like the best gift for this because that was the first time I actually started like traveling and having to pack like just not in my parents' luggage and all that stuff. So I was gifted a deluxe large weekender from Le Sport Sac. And that was 11 years ago. It is still my only weekender bag that I use for every single trip. Like if you've ever traveled with me, you've seen this bag. It's got like a special Hawaiian print on it. And it's my favorite. But I just think that for weekend travel, it's good to just have like a little, it almost looks like a gym bag, except larger. And it can fit into like any car, even road trips. Sometimes I have to just have it on my lap and it fits. If it's a good amount of outfits, clothes, all your toiletries, something reliable like that. I know the Bays ones are very, very big. It's the same idea. Whereas when I am flying, I have discovered that a tote bag is my favorite sort of like personal item. And I have a Roots tote bag. And the reason I love this bag is it actually has a detachable like purse built into it. So when I'm at the airport, I can be like, I'm going to leave my bag with my husband, just take my little purse and it like unclips and I can go strap my stuff around the airport. And then when I don't need it anymore, I can just clip it on the inside. I know all my stuff's going to be there. But I really love it because I can have it under the seat in front of me and be able to get items in and out without having to take it out of the seat in front of me because I have very long legs. So I've used bags in the past where to get things in and out, you have to like take the entire bag out and put it on your lap. And it's just like a big deal when you have very long legs. So this is my favorite. It doesn't have to be like a Roots tote bag, but I just think any tote bag is good for that sort of thing.
I love that. I'm with you on the the weekender. I use my weekender for flights too, like not just road trips or, local things. Like I am strictly a carry-on person. I think, did I pack a bag? Yeah, I did check luggage for our trip to New York and for our trip to Nashville, but I guess New York was a winter trip. So I was like, okay, I'm going to need coats and stuff. But in any case, typically speaking, I'm like a carry-on only girly. And I find that my weekender bag is like perfect for that. It fits again under the seat or in the overhead bin. Like I love it. I will say that because I typically go with a duffel bag for or weekender, that's a much nicer way to say it, for my carry-on, typically my personal item, I use a backpack just because I can only carry so much on my arms and my personal item needs to fit a lot of shit if I'm just carrying with the weekender. So that's usually what I use. And I think we're going to talk about packing cubes in a minute, but maybe it's because I'm strictly like a carry-on girl. But even if I'm just going on a short trip to like my parents' house for the weekend, I use my packing cubes even in my carry-on and in my personal item bag. I feel like, of course, I feel like the biggest benefit of packing cubes is that it compresses everything, but it also organizes it. And I find like in flight, again, going back to like what you were saying, where you need to maybe pull things out in flight, it's nice to know what cube from your bag all those things are in that you need from while you're in flight, rather than like rooting through your entire bag for whatever it is you're looking for. So that's what I usually do. I find to just backpack, I'm like, when I have to run around the airport and walk around, it's just nice to carry that weight on my back. But I do want to get a rolly carry-on, so I don't always use my weekender. But in any case, that's typically my system right now.
Yeah, this is interesting because I am a checked bag girly 99% of the time because I have a lot of shit. But I'm also traveling with my husband, so it's like double the amount of stuff. but still, so I very rarely have like a carry-on bag. If I do, it's like, yeah, a little like rolly carry-on suitcase, but very interesting. And definitely had to second the packing cubes. This was like a game changer once I got them, for just like keeping things nice in your suitcase. It also just makes it so that things aren't like falling everywhere, especially if you have a suitcase like mine has a zipper on one side and then just like snaps on the other. And it used to be like if you open your suitcase wrong, things would just be like falling out. So that prevents that as well. Sort of along keeping organized, I have a travel laundry bag, which seems very extra, but I love it.
Not at all, yeah.
It's so good. It like zips up to be super, super small, but then basically my husband and I, when we're in our hotel room, set it up. And then as you create dirty clothes, you just put them in the hamper. And I find it so good for things like underwear, or I used to obviously like it's be like as you wear your underwear, you put it back in your suitcase, and I'd be like, wait, I need to figure out which underwear is clean. It's all like a mess now. You don't want to put it back in the same packing cube, things like that. Just make it so much easier. And then you can figure out on the way home if you just want to be like one side of the suitcase is going to be for this laundry, or if you're going to organize it, whatever it is. So definitely wanted to second that. I think another thing that I recently got, well, not recently, maybe in the past 5 years and really love, is a travel wallet specifically. So I use it only in my carry-on. Hi, Maud. And it's basically like a giant portfolio thing. Like it's very nerdy, but I love it. And it holds like your passport, your tickets, if you have to have like a visa for traveling, your cash. Like when we had to show proof of vaccines, I had all of that printed in there. And it is just so good. Mine has like a little strap so you can keep it on your wrist. Because I just find, especially like if you're traveling early in the morning, you've got a bunch of documents. It's so easy to lose things, especially if you have like a huge personal item with a bunch of stuff in it. You don't want to have to be digging through to be like, okay, where did I just put my ticket? Where did I just put my passport? So definitely wanted to mention that. I also wanted to say, I do not think passport covers or passport holders are worth it. I don't even really understand the point of them, because I have one that I was gifted as a wedding gift. My husband and I were gifted matching ones. Every time I try to use them, the employees like, get that off your passport. Like I need to see it without the cover. So now I'm like, literally, what is the point of them if you can't even like show your passport in them? So all this to say, I'm very pro travel wallet. I'm very anti passport cover. Like I still have it, and like I take it to the airport, and then I could like take a cute Instagram picture with it. But every time I have to show my passport, the employee has told me to take it off. So I did want to mention that as well.
Interesting. I don't know if what you're saying, a passport cover, is the same as like my passport holder. So my passport holder, it does have like a pocket. It's like a very simple travel wallet. So like on one side I can like tuck things in like the pocket. So that's typically where I don't know, if I were to have any paperwork like my vaccine and stuff, when that was a thing, I would put it there. And then on the other side where my passport goes, there's just a piece of fabric. And I don't know if I use this correctly, but I open my passport to the picture photo, and then I put the fabric like to close my passport around the piece of fabric, so that when I pull it out at the like flight, what is that? Gate, that's the word I'm looking for. It's like open to the passport photo. So I don't know, maybe I don't use it correctly, but that's how it works for me. However, I will say, ever since I got a travel wallet, especially for bigger trips where, like you're saying, Tag, there's a lot more like paperwork and things like that involved, I definitely go travel wallet over my passport holder too.
Yeah.
But anyways, something else kind of in this whole important document thing that I wanted to mention is that I swear by downloading whatever airline you're flying, download their app to your phone. And this makes it so easy to access your boarding pass at a moment's notice. I think the things you're going to need through the airport experience are your passport and your boarding pass. So if you're constantly like digging for things, that's why travel well, it's like great to have. But I find for my boarding pass, when I download the airline's app, it shows on my home screen. I have an iPhone, maybe it's different on Android, but like it is up as a notification every time my phone locks. It's like, you have a flight, like quick access to your boarding pass. So wanted to mention that. It's also easy just to like check the status of your flight. If there's any delays, oftentimes you get emails or text alerts as well, but sometimes I find those are delayed. So it's nice just to check the app directly. You don't always necessarily need an account. You can like still check in and be kind of like a guest on the app, but still see like your seat, your boarding pass and everything without being like a member of that airline. So yes, that does equal a million different airlines apps on my phone. I have Air Canada, Air Mexico from when I went to Mexico that one time, WestJet, like, you know, I have all of them, but it really is worth it to me. And I make sure if I'm flying a new airline I haven't flown before, I download the app ahead of my flight just for the ease of getting my boarding pass.
Yes, I totally agree. I feel like that should be like our number one tip is if you are flying, get the airline app, because the amount of times, like you said, you can check in early. I've traveled with other couples before who didn't check in and then they weren't seated together. They're like, well, I assumed because
no,
we bought our tickets. Yeah,
No.
I was like, no. We get the app. That is how we get our seats together. Even, you know, I've had flights that were delayed and I've been able to get myself and my husband on the next flight through the app while everyone else waited in a giant ass line through the airport. I know some of the apps, Delta, my one true love, they have luggage tracking built into the app. A lot of them, it's like your in-flight. Yeah, it's so good. Your in-flight entertainment sometimes linked through the app. You can like order food, all kinds of fun stuff. So definitely wanted to second that. I think related to luggage tracking, something new to us is we have Apple AirTags, and that has been a game changer because we can't always fly Delta, even though I love it. So sometimes we can't track our luggage. And so having the Apple AirTags is just good for like peace of mind. Even if like we've had luggage lost before, as I said, we always check our luggage. And we've been at the airport and they say, we have no idea where your luggage is. Now we can be like, we do. We can see it right here. So definitely a good thing. It can also like ping to make noise. So if there's like a bunch of suitcases that all look the same, you can use that feature. But I also wanted to mention luggage tags. We have a luggage tag on everything. We also prep our carry-on bag as if it's going to be checked because 99% of the time we are flying economy. So we get to board the plane last. And sometimes they automatically check all carry-ons if you get to a certain point. So we prep it with an air tag and with a luggage tag just in case it gets checked at the gate. And luggage tags can be really, really cheap. We have one that looks like a Canada flag. I got like a free one from a wedding box I used to have. My family, you used to get ones if you were going on a trip to Disney. So my family for like 15 years used the Disney luggage tags. But it's just anything to make it easy to identify your luggage if it's been checked. So definitely wanted to mention those as well.
I love it. I think maybe going along the lines of luggage, what to pack, things like that. I have a few things I want to kind of rapid fire through in terms of clothing items, but then also personal care items. So first thing, my go-to for like airport outfit or any travel day outfits, even if it's in a car, train, whatever, is comfy clothes. I think that goes without saying, but also easy shoes to slip on and off. If you're in the car, I cannot keep my shoes on in the car for long, like car rides. So I'm like, take these bad boys off, but slip them on for when we go to a rest stop or something at the airport. It makes it a lot easier to go through security. So those were some things I wanted to mention. I'm pretty sure I've given this tip before, but I also swear by layers or a blanket scarf when you are traveling on a plane. Again, this could be the case for a car too, but more so when you're in a mode of transportation where you don't control the temperature, I find typically it's on the chillier side, especially in an airplane. So it's nice to have layers so you're not freezing. I love the idea of a blanket scarf because you can like wrap yourself up in it as if it's a sweater. You can put it over your lap as if it's a blanket, or you can even kind of like fold it up and use it as a pillow if you need to like sleep on a longer flight or anything. So I swear by blanket scarf, especially for the airplane travel days. And then that's kind of it on the clothing side, I wanted to say. But on the skincare side, I have so many things that I make sure I pack. I feel like the first is obviously our minis for airplane, like, you know, minis of your skincare, your hair care, whatever you need. I personally just take my full-size products and dump them into reusable mini containers rather than buying minis of all my favorite products, just because minis are actually kind of expensive and in my eyes not worth it if you have the full size at home, and of course a little bit nicer and kinder to the environment to use reusable. So I definitely do that primarily for my skincare, but every now and then I will do for my hair care too. And then when it comes to other things that I make sure I pack on the personal care side of things, I love to have a face spray. And this is like, you'll hear that I wear a mask still on planes in just a minute, but I feel like a face spray is a great way to like feel fresh on a travel day. Also just to help your skin out if you're wearing a mask or airplanes are very dry. Just feel like that is a nice thing to have on hand. It is very niche. Probably not everyone agrees with it, but for me, it's one of my essentials. I also love some other things that help me refresh, especially if it's a long travel day. So your toothbrush and your deodorant, make sure those are in your like carry-on. If you're checking a bag, don't just put them in there, but just things to help you freshen up. I also love a lip chap, hair elastic, anything just to like make you more comfortable on your journey, essentially. And then the other thing I was going to say, actually, two more things along the whole dry skin piece. I love to travel with a face mask. So whenever I do reach my final destination, again, if I traveled there by car, by plane, whatever, it's nice to spend the first night unpacking and doing a face mask, especially if you travel by plane and your skin's so dry and angry at you. It's nice to have like a nice hydrating face mask to slap on the first night once you're in your destination. The other last thing I was going to say was if you're traveling somewhere tropical, for instance, when I went to Bali, also to Dominican, things that are like essential for those destinations, such as sunscreen or bug spray, can be extremely expensive in those destinations. So try to bring your own if you can. I know sunscreen, especially when I got to Bali, sunscreen was so expensive, but I was like, this isn't going to fit in my carry-on, so I didn't bring any, but then I ended up having to pay the price. So you do definitely need to like weigh, you know, how many liquids you have, the mini sizes, what all do you actually need, especially if you're someone who travels in just a carry-on like me. But keeping in mind the destination, might be good to bring your own sunscreen and bug spray.
Yeah, I love that. I think
lots of things in there.
Yeah, exactly. Related to outfits, I agreed with everything you said. I wanted to add that if I'm going on a long plane ride, usually longer than 6 hours, I am a compression sock girly, or else my feet will be huge, like unwalkable. So I don't know like what this is related to, if it's my low blood pressure or like some other terrible health problem. But I've decided to ignore it and wear my compression socks because it's literally only a problem if I'm flying over 6 hours. But it is like not a pretty picture. I know that this is very, very common for lots of people, and all of my friends who are flight attendants are like, no, we wear the compression socks every single flight. I know it's supposed to be healthier for you. So I wanted to mention that. I also wanted to bring up sunglasses. This always happens to me if I'm leaving Canada in the winter. I forget like what the sun is like until I'm in an airplane and then I'm blasted right in the eyeballs. So definitely bring sunglasses with you, because once you're above the clouds, it's sunny up there. I also wanted to mention, I think other like on-flight staples would be a water bottle. I kind of go back and forth with, sometimes I will just like buy a plastic water bottle at the airport and then that will be my water bottle for the entire trip, or depending on how much space I have, I will bring my own reusable one and fill it up at the airport. So definitely wanted to mention that because, as you said, planes are very dry. I also always bring over the ear headphones because I have AirPods and I will use those in the airport, but I find that they bother my ears with like the pressure on the plane for some reason. And I often find like mine don't have noise canceling, so it can sometimes be hard to hear with all the noise. Where when I have the big over the ear headphones, that's not really a problem. And then you can plug them directly into like the TV on the back of the seat kind of thing, which obviously AirPods, you need to get like that iFly thing that's very expensive. I looked into it once and I was like, nope, I'm just bringing 2 sets of headphones on every flight for now. The other thing that I always do before I go on trips is make sure I have my library card like up to date, and that I have my library app on like my phone or my iPad, whichever I'm bringing with me, because the amount of times I'm like, I thought I was going to watch a movie on the plane and I'm not feeling it, then I can just look at my library books that I already have pre-downloaded. Or sometimes, like, even if I bring a book, when I get to my destination, I'm like, this book isn't hitting, I need something else. Then I can just download another book from the library, and it's easy, and I don't have to bring like 5 books. I'm someone who changes their mind a lot. I'm a Gemini, so I need to have like 18 options on hand at all times. So that's something that I do without having to be like, okay, I'm bringing 5 giant books with me in my carry-on. They can all just be virtual.
I love that. I think going back to your water, something like in your water bottle, sorry, something I had on my list was snacks. And this doesn't necessarily mean you like bring them from home. Like, I think it's fine to like buy them at the airport or whatever. It doesn't need to be like a homemade meal. But I just find like buying food or drinks on the airplane or waiting for them to come and serve you, like, I don't know. That's just a game that I don't want to like play. So I always come prepared with my own snacks and also a water bottle. And then when you were speaking about like sensitive ears, I have the most sensitive ears on planes as well. So I make sure I also have gum in addition to my snacks so that I can chew for, especially landing. That's what bothers me the most. But I'm like chewing gum like crazy. And like sometimes it's like 4 or 5 pieces of gum in my mouth at once because I'm just like, I need so much like chewing and gum. But anyways, I make sure I'm like stacked on gum before I go. So those things were also on my list, or similar to your list, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like I've asked you this question in a previous travel episode, but I'm going to ask it again in case there's any new listeners. How do we feel about drinking at the airport and or on the airplane?
I think you have asked me, and I don't remember what my answer was, and I don't really feel strongly either way now. I feel like, I am indifferent about it. I feel like on the way there, it's fun to like have a drink at the airport to be like, here we go. But I'm not someone who like drinks on the flights. But I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent.
Yeah, I'm the same where if it's depending on the time of the flight, we'll have like a cutesy drink at the airport to be like, vacation's officially started. I'll very rarely like actually drink on a plane, mainly just because it's very expensive and the drinks are so small. So I'm the same.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You guys have to tell us. Do you drink on the airplane? I feel like for some people that's like their tradition. Like it's like you're saying, like vacation starts now. But for me, I'm like, I don't know, but
not me. Or if you have lounge access, because then the drinks are free. I could see you being like, okay, I'm having a couple glasses of wine or something. But I do have a friend who was so drunk, she got on her plane, fell asleep, and then she woke up still on the plane, hungover, and she said it was terrible. So be warned.
That sounds awful to me.
Actual nightmare. So I never go that hard. I'll have like maybe 2 drinks tops, and like I said, very rarely drink on the plane. I'm like, give me a ginger ale on this plane, give me a tea and a cookie. Like it's like cozy vibes. I've got my book, that's sort of
blanket,
like
scarf.
Exactly. It's not like party. I've sat beside like party people on the plane, and it was not fun for me as the bystander. So
oh gosh. I love the book suggestion though. I'm the same. I usually have like a physical book, but that's I don't know, I'm not a big Kindle or I don't use a library app, but I usually have a physical book. And then I also love to treat myself to a magazine. Typically, I buy one in the airport or just like from a convenience store before I go to the airport. And it's like sometimes travel themed, sometimes it's just like a magazine that I love to read, but I don't buy that often. For some reason now I've like made it a travel essential that is my time to buy a magazine. So I love that, but I feel like just having that offline entertainment planned for ahead of time is key. You also mentioned Tag like downloading videos, or actually maybe you didn't mention downloading videos as much as like the apps, airlines app and in-flight entertainment, but also like making sure my favorite Spotify playlists are downloaded to listen to offline. I downloaded masterclass courses once on the masterclass app. I think you can download like videos on Netflix and stuff all to watch offline. So that's something you definitely need to plan ahead for, but it always comes in clutch, especially for those longer flights, or even to be honest, if you're like backroading it and going through like areas with no service on a road trip, it's just nice to have offline options locked and loaded.
Yeah, sort of related to that is pack your charger in your carry-on, because if you are using your phone that whole time, it is going to drain the battery, especially like if your tickets are on your phone, if you're using the app, all this sorts of stuff, like it can really drain the battery. So have that on hand, because you don't want to arrive in your destination and then be like, I have no idea how to get into contact with who's picking me up or how to order an Uber or where I'm supposed to go. So had a charger on my list as well.
I love that. I think the next things on my list are not so much fun, but it's very much like preventing illness and what to do in case of an emergency. So like I mentioned, I'm still very much a mask girly on flights specifically, because it just like airplanes gross me out. So I don't know. I just feel so much better wearing a mask. I feel like if I'm on the mask or on the flight, sorry guys, wow, I'm tripping over my words. But if I'm on the flight and it's empty / everyone seems in good health, maybe I don't put on my mask. But the worst is if you're sitting next to someone who's hacking up a lung and you don't have your mask. Like, I'm sorry, but you're going to catch that. Like, the air circulation is not good on the flight. You are going to get sick. So I like to have my mask. If I use it or not depends on the flight, how I'm feeling, but it's there. And more often than not, I use it. And same with Lysol wipes. Like, I'm still very much like a wipe everything down. I know the peak of the pandemic, whatever's gone. But at the same time, these germs are always around. If it's COVID, if it's, just cold and flu germs, if it's some crazy whatever from whatever destination you travel to, I love to just give everything a wipe. So I have those on hand. And then I also, in addition to like all those minis and personal care items that I was talking about, I always pack like a little emergency pouch as well. And this has all types of different medication in case I need it. So I pack Benadryl in there. I've started to develop like an allergy to the sun. So this is especially key when I go to like hot destinations like Dominican. When I went to Bali was the first time it showed up. When I went to Mexico, I made sure I had Benadryl in case I have a reaction to the sun. But it's also good in case you eat something that, you have a random allergic reaction to, anything like that. I think on the whole, eating something, especially if you're going to a destination you haven't been to before, or you're eating cuisine you haven't eaten before, I think it's good to take like a Tums or Pepto. My family swears by Rennie's, and just having that in case you have tummy problems on your trip. Another hack, or something that I travel with more so for like those more exotic destinations, if you will, is ginger candies or ginger tea. This was actually recommended when I went to Bali, but then I took it to Mexico last time I went to, just being like, oh, just in case there's some spice that upsets my tummy, I know at the end of the day I can go home and have a ginger tea, or I have ginger candies to help settle my tummy in my bag. I think also on the whole tummy issues is also Gravol, if you get motion sickness. Having that, I think especially in the car, but also trains, flights, whatever, I think having that handy is good. It also really helps knock you out if you want to sleep on a flight, but you can't fall asleep. It's great for that. And then the last thing is, of course, Advil. I'm a big Advil girly. I use Advil over like Tylenol, all those other things. So that's why I'm saying Advil specifically. But whatever you use, if you get a headache, if you're getting, a head cold, if you have aches and pains, literally anything, Advil is my go-to for that. So I always have that in my bag as well.
Love it. Yeah, I have a similar list. Like I always have Tums on me. I'm an Aleve girl, and then especially when going to the States, you actually can't buy Aleve there. I don't think over the counter, but anyway, so I always have Aleve with me, and I will often have like either tissues or like wet wipes, like baby wipes or makeup remover wipes, because once I had a nosebleed on an airplane and had nothing, and I had to call the like air stewardess, and she had nothing. She was like, we ran out of tissues, so she had to find me like industrial paper towels. And it was just like a disaster. So that was a lesson learned. And I will often also have blister band-aids, because obviously having a blister sucks, but walking through the airport when you have a blister will actually like send me over the edge. So those are the things that I always have to have in my carry-on as well.
Yeah. And I feel like these are things that you could buy in your destination, minus Aleve. But like, it's just nice because you never know when you're going to need these things, right? So I always, this is how my mom operates, is like, you have it just in case. Like, it's better to not need it, but have it, than to be like, oh my God, I'm having an allergic reaction, but I have no medication to help with that. So yeah, maybe it sounds like a lot for some people, and I realize you can buy these things if you need them, but for me, I always plan ahead as much as I can.
Definitely.
What else is on my list? I also, just maybe to wrap up my whole like on-flight things, this is so loserish, but I'm gonna say it. I make sure I have a pen in my bag. Like, that's easy, especially if I know I'm going like to a different country, a longer flight, where there's a chance I might have to do a customs form on the flight. The number of times I've been on the flight, I get the paper and I'm like, oh shoot, I don't have a pen. And then you have to wait for the person beside you to finish and they lend you your pen. No, not me. I make sure I have my gum, my passport, my boarding pass, and a pen in that order. But yeah, make sure I pack my pen.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I have one in my little travel wallet, because when we go to Hawaii, you fill out a form. And no one's ever prepared.
Yeah, I feel that's part of just becoming a woman, is like having a pen in your purse. Having a pen. Yeah. And maybe a man too. Like, I feel like men always have pens. I don't know.
Not maybe the men in my life. And they don't have purses.
That's true.
Yeah.
The last thing I was going to mention was a SIM card for your phone. So I've been trying this whole eSIM thing, and I'm not impressed yet. I don't know if I'm doing it wrong. I don't know what is going on, but when we were in New York, it did not work for me. Like,
it was a struggle.
It was such a struggle. So I don't know if I recommend that. However, I will say that in Canada, our phone plans are complete shit. They're very expensive. They're very awful. So when we go to even the States, we need to pay like per day for a lot of phone plans, and it gets very expensive, where it might be cheaper, especially if you're going for like an extended period of time, to look into just buying a SIM card while you're there. And that's actually what I did when I went to Bali. Like, it was so cheap in those types of destinations to just buy a SIM card, and you often have like unlimited data, like absolutely crazy phone plan, but for such cheaper, like such less money than if I were to pay per day or per use with my Canadian plan. So I just wanted to throw that out there in case you hadn't considered that. Again, if you're going somewhere, especially if you're traveling on your own, probably a good idea to have your phone and be able to contact people should you need it, but just different ways to do that rather than just relying on your phone provider to give you the best deal. Like, maybe look into eSIMs or just buy a SIM card when you get there. And that fun fact is, oftentimes, especially when I landed in Bali, there were just so many SIM card sellers like immediately at the arrivals. So I'm like, this is the common thing, and you can buy your SIM card at the airport before you even leave, so that it's like you were saying, Tag, you can coordinate whoever's picking you up or call an Uber or whatever it is, all before you leave the airport. Your phone is working.
Love it. I think those were all of our essentials.
Oh, that's it? People are like,
I was
damn
literally
girls.
thinking of more things to pack as we were talking, in case anyone's like watching the video and is like, wow, Tegan was like lost in her own thoughts at that point. This is why I pack early. So yeah, this was a good chat to have, because now I have all of my things that I need to pack.
Amazing. I love that.
Yeah. Great. Well, I think that's where we're going to leave it for this week. We put out a new episode every single Tuesday, so make sure you're following us and subscribe to us so you see when those new episodes drop. Also, if you listen or watch the episodes on Spotify, you can now leave us comments, which is kind of fun. You can also connect with us on social media. We are at our Golden 20s on almost all the platforms, and we love when you reach out there. We get so many nice little like DMs and comments, and we appreciate all of you. We also have a Patreon page, which is the best way to show your support for the podcast for as little as $2 a month. We put out the episodes early there, completely ad-free. So if you listen every week, definitely consider checking that out as well. But I think that's everything for this week. Thanks so much for listening.
See you next Tuesday.
Bye.